The big boss gets fatter and we stay poor. Now we say no more. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. Where did you get your money, sir? How did you get your money, girl? Who did you exploit?
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
Who did you steal it from? To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. For one man to be rich, another man it must be poor. The big boss don't care for me. He left me dead in aisle 4. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. Who built your houses, sir? Who built your school, sir? Who cleaned your table now? Who sewed that suit you're wearing? To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime, crime, crime. To be rich should be a crime. Throw out the old society. Build a brand new.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
Build it up. Here on bus stop 6, a woman sits in front of me. It's Penny, girl, she's so hardworking. Yeah, she don't got $1 to show. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime, crime, crime. To be rich should be a crime. Get all the rich people out here. Get them all out of there. Long live the working class. Long live the workers of the world. Men and women, unite! The big boss gets fatter and we stay poor. Now we say no more. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. Where did you get your money, sir? How did you get your money, girl? Who did you exploit, tell me? Who did you steal it from? To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. For one man to be rich, another the men it must be poor. The big boss don't care for me. He left me dead in I-04. To be rich should be a crime. To be rich should be a crime. Who built your house, sir?
Gabagoo.
Built your school, sir?
Gabagool.
Tony, believe me, Tony. I got a guy. He could pull up old tweets. I'm talking 2013 tweets. Blackface Justin Trudeau tweets.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Hey,
Oh, wait, what?
you heard us.
He's watching the stream. He's watching the stream.
Oh,
you can hear us.
Michael's having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, so we'll keep him. He's gonna be here.
Jose with the resub root. Jose, thank you for the resub, brother.
Bless the resub.
Bless the resub. We really appreciate that. We got a hype train going. If somebody else wants to sub, that'd be pretty fucking sick.
It's true. We do kind of have a hype train going. Wait, what even? Oh, I see that. Do we get that like?
It's like a Twitch thing. It starts and then like the more people, the
Yeah.
like the higher the percent. It's like just like a personal like channel
Off the
cult thing.
coke train.
Thank you guys all for showing up. Sorry about missing the last show. I got caught up at work. I didn't get home till pretty much the show started. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the only thing that happened. Yeah.
We had no time to.
Yeah, nothing else significant happened.
No. Not at all. No. No.
The Cleveland Browns now have a new player.
Oh yes. There's a new podcaster spawned.
Yeah.
New podcaster spawned. I have a baby brother now. So yeah, it's been
beautiful.
Thank you. This week has been a scramble, but we're making it work. Appreciate you guys all for showing up. We're here on a beautiful Sunday. Sadly, white supremacy has continued to win again. Tom Brady and the Nazi Buccaneers have decided. The Weimar Buccaneers. The Weimar Republic Buccaneers have won again, giving Tom Brady another dub, which is disgusting. It's terrible. But yeah, we're working through the kinks here. Michael's having some technical difficulties. I think they're almost sorted out, but I think we can go ahead and hop into the top of the show with that. If Jacan, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything lucid about the Super Bowl. Oh, then you're right. Yeah, Tom Brady is a fascist.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, like all fascists, they always win. And I think the Chiefs are more like Weimar because they're like the weak libs that just they couldn't stand up and they just got rolled by the fascists. So there you go. If you want to understand the Super, what was the final score? Because remember, I said Buccaneers 55 points.
It was 39 or 30, 35 to 9, 35 to 9.
35 to 9.
Something like that.
I wasn't too far off.
31 to 9.
31 to 9. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was close.
Yeah, you were. You said what? 46 points total.
I think I said 55 total. Yeah. So I would have lost my house if I bet that, but
not bad though.
Yeah, I should have bet on the Buccaneers though.
Yeah, I really should have. I really wanted Kansas City to win. Yeah, Patrick did fail us.
Yeah, it's true.
Really tragic performance. Absolutely fucking shit the bed.
You don't want to make that mistake though. Like the Bushes bet on the Nazis to win, and that didn't. I'd say it didn't work out for him, but then they just transitioned teams. So, I'll always bet on the fascists. That's the rule. All right, yeah. Let's get into the top of the show, which is not betting on the fascists. And this is kind of a conglomeration of stuff from the last show that we didn't get to use too. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Because today was the Ecuadorian elections, where they decided whether they were going to kind of continue this neoliberal thing with Lenin Moreno, whether they were going to move further right, or whether they were going to go back to the policies of Rafael Correa and the Citizens Revolution. And that's what it looks like is going to happen. They now have President Arauz, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, who was like a finance minister or vice president under Rafael Correa. So he's going to continue the programs in the same vein. And this video is from the Gray Zone, and it's a little bit older. It's before the election. As I said, that's today. And Arauz won out, so that's good to see. As we know, we saw Evo Morales win in Bolivia. It's the left winning there. We see this. We don't have everything we want out of AMLO, but, he's better than a lot of the presidents Mexico has had. And we've talked about his shortcomings as well.
And we've had working class led movements in other South American countries, like in Chile, about rewriting the constitution. So yeah, things are turning up for the left in South and Central America, and obviously solidarity with the workers and especially the indigenous people. And we only hope to see them succeed.
Yeah, and this Gray Zone video, just the interview like local activists, local voters. I think it's interesting. Let's just play it.
Este gobierno nos ha traicionado a los obreros, a la gente trabajadora, le bajó los sueldos. Por eso apoyo por mi gente, por los de a pie, por eso apoyo.
This is Ben Norton with the Gray Zone. I am in Guayaquil, one of the major cities in Ecuador. And there's a massive demonstration going on, a march through downtown in support of the left-wing candidate Arauz and his vice president. These are the working class citizens of Ecuador who are often ignored in mainstream politics and mainstream media. In Ecuadorian state media, they don't have a voice whatsoever. They're not represented. But they're here out in the streets. And it's very clear, you can see the difference between the supporters of the leftist former president Correa, Rafael Correa, and his movement, Correísmo. You can see that they are much more working class than the elites who support the neoliberal candidate, Guillermo Lasso. So here, I'm going to speak to some of these supporters, and they're going to say why they support Arauz and the Citizens' Revolution launched by Rafael Correa.
Apoyo la revolución ciudadana porque nosotros, los que tenemos esta época, hemos vivido los 50 años del neoliberalismo, las atrocidades que se cometieron, las injusticias. He visto en 10 años del correísmo que nuestros hijos hayan podido estudiar en colegios dignos. He podido participar en la construcción de los hospitales con dignidad para el pueblo. He podido ver que la gente tuvo trabajo, tuvo sueldos dignos y tuvo el reconocimiento de un seguro social.
Ya todo el pueblo ecuatoriano está aquí concentrado porque ya estamos cansados de tanta traición, tanta oligarquía corrupta en el Ecuador. Andrés Arauz y Carlos Barrascal van a volver el futuro a la patria del Ecuador, como tiene que ser. Ya estamos cansados de lo mismo de siempre. Lo mismo de siempre, vienen a robar, a saquear y a quitarnos el pan de todos los días.
La Revolución Ciudadana durante 10 años demostró que se preocupó por lo social, por lo digno, por las cosas materiales y por darle muchas ventajas a los pobres del Ecuador.
Behind me is Carlos Rabascal. He is the vice presidential candidate. Rabascal is a left-wing journalist who has become a candidate representing the working class movement here in Ecuador and the leftist Correísta movement led by former President Rafael Correa.
Queremos que vuelvan a hacer las cosas como son cuando estaba gobernando nuestro expresidente Rafael Correa, para que vuelva a ser nuestro país como estaba antes. Estábamos de lo mejor, había trabajo, Había de todo. Bueno, yo apoyo porque he hecho muchas obras y he hecho muchas cosas buenas. Soy docente actualmente y nos subió el sueldo a los docentes, nos dio otro trato y otro valor. ¡Viva Rafael Correa! ¡Viva Arauz!
La gente que está acá viene de los barrios polvorientos, donde hay lodo, donde todavía falta alcantarillado, donde todavía falta luz, alumbrado eléctrico, agua potable. Esta es la gente de los suburbios que clama que haya un cambio general en la República del Ecuador.
Estamos aquí siempre presentes con Arauz, siempre vista uno, cada uno.
Con Rafael Correa, el Ecuador se volverá a transformar, volverán las obras, las escuelas, los hospitales, las carreteras. Con esta oligarquía del traidor, del Lenín Moreno, del señor del feriado bancario Lazo y de Tebot, no vamos a seguir adelante.
Arauz es un hombre tan inteligente, tan honesto, y que alguien diga que se ha robado algo. Y Lenín Moreno es un matón, un sicario y un sabido que está realmente matando a un pueblo donde hay oro, y se han llevado en peso el oro, el cobre, el diamante.
Lenín Moreno es una basofia humana, agente de la CIA, entregado a los norteamericanos. ¿Para qué? Para que lo cubran mañana más tarde.
We can pause it there, Carlos. So
not only is that super badass, but one of the interesting things is like that older man that was talking, like when working class people rally behind like a working class candidate, they don't talk about all like the fucking stupid like all the bullshit. They're not like, oh, he's on. Or they're like, oh, no, he's not. He's not honest. He's not gonna bring the soul back to the nation. They're like, we're gonna get our hospitals back and we're gonna fix our fucking roads. Like the difference in what they're there like to do and talk about is so much different, and it's something that we need here.
And that guy's a fucking legend too.
Yeah, the dude with the
cap,
yeah,
and he's just spitting straight facts, calling at the time of the video the president of his country a fucking CIA asset. Like that's hard. But yeah, you're right. And as I prefaced before we started the video, it's so awesome to see another working class movement that has fought for control in a Latin American country. And yeah, like you said, it was the same thing I was gonna point out. The thing to take out of this, I think we played that Michael Parenti speech where he's like, the revolution that feeds the poor is the revolution that I support, or like something along those lines. Like
not blindly. At the
end of the day, not blindly. They don't blindly get my support.
But yeah,
but they get my support.
The revolution that's gonna, feed the children and put clothes on their back.
Yeah, like you said, these people are concerned about material things, and it's like
exactly they want their human rights back. They want to be able to be healthy.
They want their lives better.
Exactly, they want to live a decent life.
Yeah, and like a couple of them were saying, these platitudes, like you were saying, but for the most part, it's like we said, it's about they're like, hey, I like him because he materially does this for me. And that's what the whole citizens' revolution is about taking control. And that's a conversation we need to have too, because with Arauz and Rafael Correa, the step is state ownership and the citizens getting more say in their legislatures and taking over the major industries. But then, we have to get into that next discussion too of like, these countries just can't build all they can't build off of like oil subsidy because that's all going to collapse. So it has to be a broader socialist vision. This isn't shooting down their stuff at all. This shit's fucking amazing, but it's stuff we have to do internationally, like build our own socialist vision here and our own citizens' revolution, so that if we don't get off the backs of them, they won't be able to transform off of fossil fuels, and neither will we.
Absolutely.
And that's got to be the end goal.
Yeah,
that's part of the point of like getting that into the hands of the people so that we can decide if it should still be an industry.
Yes, absolutely. And it will be way easier to phase it out if we're the ones that get to make that decision.
Yeah, it's not us constantly fighting against the industry itself, who will never want to die.
Right, because it's profit incarnate. It's not going to go down. Yeah, I guess that's all I want to extract from this video. It's amazing to see this. Hopefully we see more working class movements in Latin America and at home too. I'm jealous of this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought with the show we'd start with like kind of recent events that are popping off. So with Ecuador, we had the elections today, and we also had Myanmar just a couple of days ago with the military coup. So I'm just gonna read just the top of this piece, and I would recommend to read more of it because it's a good interview. But just want to touch on it so that we can keep it in the back of people's heads and maybe bring it up later too. It says Myanmar's labor movement is central to the fight against authoritarianism. The coup in Myanmar has exposed the faulty foundation of the country's democratic transition. We spoke with an organizer in Myanmar's burgeoning labor movement, which will be central to the fight against authoritarianism in the coming days and months. The person they spoke with, by the way, is Ma Mo Sandar Myint. So yeah, but I'm just gonna read the intro. On Monday, Myanmar's military seized power in a coup d'état, deposing former international darling Aung San Suu Kyi. The military push dramatically exposed Myanmar's widely lauded democratic transition, which came to the world's attention with the freeing of Suu Kyi in 2010 and the first democratic election in decades in 2015, as fundamentally flawed. The 2008 constitution that governs the country grants the military full control over key ministries and broad authority to declare a state of emergency. The question of how Myanmar's people will respond now looms large. Suu Kyi and her party remain popular in the country despite her brutal record, which includes enabling the ethnic cleansing of Rohingya Muslims, because they're seen as representing an end to military rule and an increased openness to the world. Meanwhile, the medical staff in major cities have called for a strike. The country's largest labor federation is urging people not to cooperate with the military government on labor issues. And a Facebook group titled, quote, Civil Disobedience Movement, unquote, has drawn 180,000 likes. Myanmar's labor movement was building even before partial democratization. A major strike wave swept the country's mostly foreign-owned garment factories in 2009 to 10. Just a side note on that is something I know. During that period, there was like a bunch of crazy. You can look this up too. There's a bunch of in these like garment mills and textile factories and stuff. They had these. I think it was in Myanmar and like Laos. They had these giant buildings that were like multiple stories, but they're built like shit. And they had multiple incidences where they like collapsed or like people died in them from faulty construction. And I think it was Myanmar. It might be somewhere else, but where it was like might have been a Nike one or something, and it collapsed and killed. It might be like one of the worst, like hundreds of people. It's like one of the worst industrial disasters ever.
Jesus.
So you can see how the labor movement's coming out of that. And just I'll continue here before I go my spiel. It owned garment factories in 2009 and 10, which the government met with coercion, quartering off factories and forcing workers and employers to come to a deal, undercutting the momentum of the movement. But in 2011, the ban of labor unions was dropped, and the following year, collective bargaining was legalized. Labor organizing began to come above ground. Labor rights organizations that had served Burmese migrants in Thailand moved to Myanmar and joined their formerly underground comrades. Many labor activists appealed to the liberal rights-based order regime in order to rile up workers and gain protection for their unions. Above all, strikes have been essential to building the movement. In 2019, a wave of walkouts took off in the country's now massive garment sector, which employs around 600,000 workers and manufactures Myanmar's chief export. only to collide with the COVID-19 pandemic and its extorted restrictions. So you see, like, it's classic. It's like a lot of other situations where there's these working class interests where they're fighting to organize the labor unions, because obviously the history of colonialism in the area, the neo-colonialism now with corporations coming in, like Nike, Adidas, etc., cheap textile garment factories.
Yeah, and they really see the people as just another natural resource to be used.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Just like I think as Richard Wolff points out, like slaves were seen as capital. That's, it's all in line.
Mm-hmm.
But so you have that, that whole working class movement going on, and then at the same time you have, because of the neo-colonialism and the old colonialism and the undercutting of their democracy, you have like the military having crazy control of their government and very little democracy also. And then in the same hand from that too, you have the candidate that's supposed to be against the the rise in military power, and it's supposed to be for more democratic say for people, which you imagine all these people organizing for labor rights are like, that is something they want, right? That person has supported and has allowed the massacre of Rohingya Muslims. So it's very similar to a situation like we have too, like where you have different, of course, but like, the threat trumps the military threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the neolib, the thing that's supposed to be offered is like, hey, this is supposed to solve the problem. And it's like, no, that's not. That's bad. And I just wanted to read this to give more context to because I didn't know much about Myanmar either, but this seems in line to make sense with why the coup d'etat happened and how it could change. We can't just blindly support this candidate. Just like we said in the Ecuador video, we need to support what feeds the poor and working people and gives them material well-being. So if that candidate's going out there and supporting the Rohingya Muslims and supporting these workers in the textile factories for better pay, better wages, better working conditions, then yeah. But if not, no. Like,
absolutely.
Pretty much that simple.
Yeah, perfectly said.
And so let's move from this one. Yeah. Oh?
No.
It's the police? No.
It's the CIA. Also, Hector, thank you for the thank you for the sub.
Beautiful.
That's a real tier 1. We really appreciate that. I didn't want to say anything while you were talking, but yeah, Hector, thank you so much. Or Hector Batman 15. If he wants me to use this fucking username.
Hey, why does he use 15? 15's my number. 15's the number.
1738. Fucking
Jerry
Seinfeld.
Legend. I'm telling you, if Kramer wasn't on that show, it wouldn't be good.
Are you sure you want to say that right now?
No. Kramer should come back. I should do the show again.
And one stressful situation and it's game over.
Did we already talk about the apology video?
Yeah, where he goes on the fucking Seinfeld show.
Yeah.
And he goes to the coffee shop and he just doesn't apologize.
Well, like he tries to too at the end, and like the crowd just starts laughing, and then Jerry Seinfeld's like, "Hey, stop laughing!" And that just no one stops laughing. It just gets worse.
Yeah. What a situation.
So you wanna take our kind of a hard transit. This is like our shitting on Biden block. It's gonna go on for a while, but
yeah. So I guess something we can talk about to give like a little bit of context. Last show we explained the private prison situation. Joe Biden passed an executive order ending certain federal contracts with private prisons, which accounts for, I believe, 14,000 prisoners and 12% of It was 12 facilities, my bad. 12 facilities housing 14,000 inmates that they're ending their contracts with. They specifically left out ICE detention centers when doing that, which they could do. And 66% of all ICE detention centers are privately owned. And so a new update that came out with the Biden administration, they're going to be, and really pay attention to the wording here. They really live it up and try to make it sound as nice as possible. Very Obama-esque. The Biden admin is reopening an overflow facility in Texas for unaccompanied migrant children apprehended at the U.S.-Mexico border. It comes amid an increase in apprehensions, plus reduced capacity limits at other facilities due to COVID-19. So, not only is Joseph Robinette Biden continuing to keep kids in cages in ICE facilities that they built under the Obama administration, which Trump, of course, continued and increased. Biden is not only doing that now, but is now has to build more camps for more kids. They're going to put more kids in cages. They're ramping up on top of what Trump did, which was already ramped up on top of what Obama did, the deportation king, which is a common name for him. So, yeah, he is literally increasing the amount of kids that are going to be put in cages on top of what Trump did. This headline is so libbed up and platituded in the words. It's so word salad that you don't instantly see that. But yeah, that's quite literally what it is. It's Biden moving to the right on Trump. It's disgusting. And yeah, it's just like another perfect example. We knew from the start that everything Biden was running on was bullshit, and he was just going to be pretty much just like a buffer for a worse Trump. And he snuffed Bernie Sanders, the working class candidate. And yeah, here it is exactly. He's not only upholding the status quo, but making it fucking worse, lowering the bar. And yeah, I thought it was gross. So
it's good that you related it to the private prisons thing too.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, because this we don't know.
Example after example.
Yeah, and these can very well be privately owned facilities, seeing that more than the greater majority are already privately owned. So this very well could be another private facility. There's been court cases with Merritt about literal slavery happening at these ICE facilities. There was the break and the mutilation happening at the ICE facilities at the border.
Right.
It's
Force
and that's only what we know about. Who knows what the fuck's going on, especially at some of these private facilities.
Right.
And Biden and Biden was absolutely in a position, and still is right now. He could do it when he wakes up, and all of his ICE and all of not only just he could end all of the contracts that the federal government has with ICE. They can push legislation. They have a supermajority to just disband ICE, end it. They could do that tomorrow. They have all of the powers that be. They refuse to do it, nor do they want to do it, because they support this, and they like ICE.
Yes, they do, unfortunately. And it's just good tying it to this as another example, because it's like, and another one in my mind too is something we didn't bring up in the show, but we do pushback Aaron Mate's show all the time on here, and he was talking, because this is something that I've even heard Noam Chomsky tout, that Biden's making steps to end the Yemen war, which he has made some steps to end like direct U.S. involvement, but he hasn't done anything to end like basically our selling of arms still to Saudi Arabia. Anything to even begin a discussion of ending Saudi Arabia's aggression on the northern Yemeni people. So all these examples, and it's going to extend to more shit too. Like eventually his administration is going to have to come up with some kind of healthcare bill, right? And it's going to be libbed up, as you said, like lauded, you given some extra dressing so it looks like something special.
There'll be
but
another
in
private
reality,
insurance giveaway.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's
just going to be a worse Obamacare.
right. Or whatever it is, it's not going to be adequate at the best.
I guess worse
It's
worse
not
in the
it's
sense that
what he
it's,
promised.
the transfer of wealth is still going up, I guess.
Yes.
Like the material care might be a little bit better, but you're still pouring money into these corporations' pockets that aren't adequately paying their workers. It's just going straight to the CEO, and that CEO is then funding politicians to put in legislation to continue that cycle and make it more, apparent and in your face.
Right. And if you thought like, okay, maybe the Biden administration isn't gonna give us money, or maybe they're not gonna, give us quality healthcare, but maybe they're gonna, do some stuff for the dreamers. Maybe they're gonna end the, ICE detention center. No, they're gonna make the things that they kind of, I don't want to say ran on because they didn't really run on anything,
but they had attacked Trump for it.
Which was their whole point, to not run on anything.
Yeah, they didn't run on it, but they sure as hell attacked him.
And they pandered, like, they definitely pandered to the base that they were gonna like end. I think a lot of like not very in tuned political people think like Joe Biden was gonna end ICE detention centers or something.
That was
part of his agenda.
I also want to point out, that during the election season, everything that AOC was, like happening at the border with AOC and shit like that, like they were, kind of nice to AOC during all that. Like they kind of try to be like, oh, ICE, immigration. I'm agreeing with AOC, kind of. Lefties kind of vote for us. Like
but when it comes to
it wasn't direct
getting your
smear.
rights,
Yeah,
they don't care at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Like that's the one thing that they tried to pander is like something that we're going to be the party that's going to finally stand up for legal immigration and stand up for immigrants. Fuck no, because, and as we know, that's obviously not true, because if you don't stand up for economic rights and healthcare rights, you can't stand up for fucking immigrants and for working class people.
Absolutely.
Because all these things are interconnected. Do you have any more to say on this one, or we want to go to the?
No, yeah, we can totally move on.
So this is just kind of continuing, like, hey, Trump. Something we covered a lot on Trump was like, hey, especially at the end of his presidency, like he was just killing people. They're straight up sending people through execution, like increasing. Before that, increasing, drone strikes and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, so we see the overt killing increasing from Trump, and we're like, okay, Biden won't do that. Well, I disagree. You can remember, I think he says it somewhere in here, but remember Obama, Biden's running mate, claimed he was going to close Gitmo. That was one of the big things he ran on, was I'm going to close Guantanamo Bay. And he never did. There are still people that Obama and Biden put in Guantanamo Bay that are there to this day. And I actually saw this piece from Marianne Williamson, Orb Mother, so shout out to
Orb Mother.
Yeah, she's a beast. This guy's name is Ahmed Rabbani, and I'm just going to read it because it's pretty powerful. It says, I'm a prisoner at Guantanamo Bay, and I have a message for President Biden. I have no interest in revenge, but I would like people to know what happened to me and how it has been swept under the carpet. President Biden this week took his oath as 46th President of the United States. He is someone who has suffered his own personal tragedies, first losing his wife and daughter in 1972 to an accident, and then his son Beau from a brain tumor. He has felt so much pain. I hope that means he will understand mine. The last 2 decades of my life have been a nightmare without end, and the worst of it is that my family are also trapped inside it. I sit here writing this in Guantanamo Bay, and I can only hope the president finds some empathy for my situation and that of the other detainees who languish here in this terrible prison. When I was kidnapped from Karachi in 2002 and sold to the CIA for a bounty with a false story that I was a terrorist called Hassan Gul, my wife and I had just had the happy news that she was pregnant. She gave birth to my son Jawad a few months later. I have never been allowed to meet my own child. President Biden is a man who speaks of the importance of family. I wonder if he can imagine what it would be like to have never touched his own son. Mine will soon be 18 years old, and I have not been there to help him or to guide him. I've been locked up for his entire childhood, without charges or a trial. In that time, the president has served a full term as a senator, 8 years as vice president of the U.S., and challenged Donald Trump for the presidency and won, fulfilling his life's ambition. I doubt I would have done anything like that, but I can't help but question what I might have done with those years, had they not been stolen. When Biden took the oath of office to become vice president in January 2009, at Barack Obama's side, he joined an administration that had sworn to close Guantanamo. An executive order, issued that week, promised to, quote, restore the standards of due process and the core constitutional values that have made this country great even in the midst of war, unquote. Obama promised on his second day in office to close, quote, Gitmo for good. I am not here to judge him for the failure to carry out those plans in the face of obstruction in Congress, which he fucking had a supermajority also, or to suggest that he will be easy to close Guantanamo now. But it gives me heart that the U.S. is again led by a president who believes in justice and the rule of law. I don't really share this guy's optimism, but he said the Senate Intelligence Committee report on CIA torture was completed, quote, on his watch, as they say, in 2014. It's a report that I feature in. It says that I was tortured for 540 days in the dark prison in Afghanistan without authorization. Whether that makes it better or worse, I am still undecided. I can confirm that the torture did take place, although I couldn't have counted the days myself. The days and nights blended into one while I was hung from a bar in a black pit, in agony as my shoulders dislocated. I doubted that President Biden can understand what this torture is like. To hear a woman screaming in the next room and to be told it is your wife, and that if you do not do as they insist, they will rape her or kill her. I have no interest in revenge, but I would like people to know what happened to me and how it has been swept under the carpet, so that we are protected from presidents like Biden's predecessor, who might make someone face it again. The stain of torture can be excised from American history, and Biden and his administration can't just put their heads in the sand and pretend it did not happen. The U.S. is currently paying $13.8 million a year just to keep me here, so he could save a lot of money by letting me just go home. I am just a taxi driver from Karachi, a victim of mistaken identity. The CIA even captured the real Hassan Gul, but after interrogating him, they let him go and kept me imprisoned. Perhaps they are embarrassed by their mistake. This week, as Biden settles in the White House, he will be living in splendor. I don't want to compare the Oval Office to my cell here in Guantanamo. However, it strikes agony into my heart to think about how my family, without a father or husband, live in such miserable conditions. The new president will attend fancy banquets while I am in year 7 of a hunger strike, protesting the fact that I am held without trial. I am under half the weight I was when I was first seized in Karachi, and the way it has been going, even while they force feed me, which, side note, has been documented, they've done anal feeding where they shove food into your ass. Back to what he says. He says, I will die here in my cell. President Biden has the power to do something. I would like justice, obviously, for all the abuse I have suffered, but most importantly, I do not want to go home in a coffin or a body bag. I just want to go home to my family and to finally, for the first time, hold my son. Yeah, I think that really speaks for itself. I'm doubtful Biden will do something, but I think this piece is powerful because it just shows the hypocrisy of. I like the part where he talked about how Biden has served as a senator. He served, 8 years as a VP. Now he's he's the president of the United States. Meanwhile, that whole time, this guy has been being tortured in a, away from his family, indefinitely for nothing, for no crime, no due process.
And they caught the guy they're looking for, and
they even, that's what I'm saying. The hypocrisy is they caught the guy they were looking for. It's stunning, and it's so amazing, these people that have been in prison for a long time, though, like the mental fortitude they have to hear them, like, to even still make appeals to, I mean, obviously they're pleading for their life, but it's like they're still making appeals to like Biden's humanity, even I don't think there's much of that left, or if that even matters at this point. But it's like he's reaching out to, he's like, you have a son, right? You had a son that you saw him age, you saw him grow, he died of a brain tumor. I've never even got to see my son because of what you've done to me. And it's like,
and when he's saying, while you're out at fancy banquets, I'm continuing my hunger strike, and they're force feeding him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insanity.
Well, that's what's wrong with these extrajudicial prisons, is that there's no process in place to make sure that like these are actual people who've done wrong. It's just whoever they decided to round up and capture back during the invasions. Like, well, looks like you're stuck here now.
Right.
And there are a lot more people than just him.
Oh yeah, of course. It's not one story. It's hundreds of stories, and there's many we will never hear. And can we pull up the popular resistance? I just want to pair this just to give more clarity too. It says 111 NGOs call on Biden to close Guantanamo. On February 2nd, more than 100 non-governmental organizations joined a letter by the Center for Constitutional Rights and the Center for Victims of Torture, urging President Joe Biden to close the prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and end indefinite military detention. The letter is signed by organizations ranging from those working to end anti-Muslim discrimination and torture, to immigrant rights organizations and organizations working broadly on civil rights, civil liberties, and racial justice at the national and local level. It emphasizes the devastating and ongoing consequences of the prison, including the effect of a post-9/11 national security framework on domestic racial justice struggles and efforts to end police violence. And yeah, like that's a whole angle, like we don't have to get into, but it's like we didn't talk about that either. Like, of course we should stand up for this guy because this is wrong, but in detaining him too, like that, we talk about this too, this militarism comes home. The imprisonment of Black and brown people here at home, the militarism of our police here, indefinite, holding and imprisonment for people here. So it's all related. And yeah, it's good to see like actual, with some of these NGOs, like actual activism trying to push Biden to, do the right thing. But I unfortunately have not seen anything from the Biden administration even remotely signaling it's going to close Guantanamo. And on other issues of foreign policy, they're pointing in the wrong direction too, as Ian, or in domestic policy too, as Ian pointed out. So I don't see it changing.
Yeah, I absolutely don't see Gitmo closing anytime soon. Guantanamo, especially under a Biden administration. Biden is a piece of shit, and as you talked about with the whole Obama situation, he was right there with it the whole time.
Yeah,
it's not like this is new to him. It's not like he just found out about this shit. He was, he was
integral. He was part of it.
He was, he was absolutely a part of it.
And even worse, like every president, he might even be worse than Obama. He's just a further degradation now, because let's pull up the next piece. Something good Obama did, even though, he still did plenty of bad shit, was the Iran deal, and trying to basically give the Iranian people back their money that we stole, and allow them to have a clean nuclear energy program and a way for us to monitor their nuclear weapons, which is what we claim to so desperately want. It says here, with Iran resuming its enrichment of uranium, we asked President Biden if the U.S. will lift sanctions. And as we've covered multiple times, these sanctions don't hurt like any cabal of power elite or like any of the leadership or whatever they claim in Iran. It hurts normal people. They prevent medicine. They prevent food from getting to normal people in Iran. They're asking will Biden lift the sanctions in order to get Iran back to the negotiating table on a nuclear deal? And we'll play the video, Carlos.
Will the U.S. lift sanctions first in order to get Iran back to the negotiating table?
No.
They have to stop
Straight
enriching
face.
uranium first. Will.
And to anyone that says, and one, it's good. It's a good idea for them to do it because it's they can enrich uranium as a low-cost alternative for energy for them. But obviously, the main thing too is, and we've covered this too with like Libya, the threat of a nuclear weapon or device is useful for these states because they can use that to ward off U.S. imperialism from invading their country, as we've signaled like wanting to do in Iran. So there's no reason they should make the move first. We just fucking backed out of a treaty that was about giving them their shit back, and now we're sanctioning their people on top of that, and now we're like, hey, you got to stop all your shit. Like, it's just the callousness of Biden to just answer no with his dementia fucking rot brain. Just, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Is there like a comments war? I saw we had a lot of people commenting.
Yeah, just.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of there's a lot of comments.
15 people chilling with us too, which is sweet.
Yeah, we have another pretty big half, so do we want to roll into our break so we can
Yeah,
half? Yeah.
we can go ahead and get into our first break.
Yeah,
So,
for those that are new, like we do a break and then we come as soon as the song's over, we're right back. So yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we'll be right back.
Yeah. Peace.
Fuck U.S. imperialism.
Facts.
Welcome back. Got some weird guys in the chat.
And all of our other beautiful viewers. Let's not forget about
Yes. I love all the other beautiful people in here.
our working class beautiful viewers. We love you.
Oh my god. It's fucking cold in the north, bro.
It is pretty cold. My hands are frozen.
Yeah, bro. I'm kind of shivering. Not gonna lie.
For those new or curious, yes, usually the guy in the beanie speaks. But
Yeah,
he had
what
tonsil
happened?
surgery. Oh, fuck! No. Are we back, Michael? How's your audio?
My audio's fucked. I can only talk, and I don't know. It's all screwed up. I can hear you, but it's static. Like every time you guys talk, it's like it's just
Hey,
it's so weird.
dude, the U.S. is being in the Middle East since the fucking 40s, and even before that.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking
trying
way
to
worse.
claim that started in like 75. You could point directly to the assassination of Mossadegh in Iran, which happened in the fucking 50s, dude. So.
And beyond that, when fucking we got in there to start doing oil shit, like the early on.
Sykes-Picot and
yeah,
you know, drawing up the Western Middle East. So it's like.
And
we used to send troops around the world to protect oil.
We've been literally destroying those countries for fucking decades.
Yeah.
The fuck are you talking about? Like,
that is a weird thing. People, as like a side note, like a weird thing people do, huh? Like they always like it all happened on this date. They don't see it as like a conglomerate or like an ascendancy of things.
Or it's like, oh, we're giving fucking Iran billions of dollars every year in the Iran deal. Wah. It's like,
yeah, like that's the
destroy
thing.
their country, dipshit.
Yeah.
Also, Sexy Swan, thank you for the follow. We appreciate you.
Oh,
welcome to the
it's been
community.
a while since we've had a new follow.
Yeah,
Thank
I know.
you.
Welcome to the podcast.
Beautiful. We love all of our beautiful followers. Unless you're ugly, then we don't love you.
If you're actually interested in what you have to say, of course, welcome, even if you have different views. But if you come in here trying to derail the conversation, talk about bullshit, and also be wrong on the bullshit you're talking about, absolutely not. You'll get fucking torched. You're fucking weird.
Any any other thoughts before we start our second half here?
No, we can go and continue on. I think you have a video for us.
I actually have it's just a couple of tweets.
Okay.
First, let me pull them up too. And then we can kind of just riff on this. And this is a topic we talk about all the time, which is just censorship and it coming back to bite the left in the ass. And this is, I don't know, this one's pretty crazy. This first one says from Ford Fischer, says thread, last night at Team YouTube performed one of the most absurd video removals I've ever experienced. I will detail the situation in this thread. And, you know, he goes on. I'm just going to kind of give a synopsis of basically what happened. Is YouTube responded to a statement. We might have that up too, but if not, it's okay. They basically said he recorded the Capitol riot. He was there recording the video. Now there was no like commentary or context, like extra context or anything, or it was just straight raw on the ground footage, right? And that was deemed like. It was deemed as like politically, I can't remember the term they used. It was deemed like politically misleading or false. All right, yeah, there it is. It says this video was removed because it didn't include countervailing views or sufficient context of the claims made in the footage. As videos can be embedded across the web, we only allow blah 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 blah. Point is, they're basically saying since they're not explicitly saying anything other besides the raw footage of the event happening. That's our justification for taking this down. And can we pull up the status quo one, dude? We have that one, Carlos. So yeah, let me read this one too. Status quo is a bigger channel who's been censored before too, and we talked about their shit getting taken down. And they're if you want to know their coverage, their take, they're left, they're working class, you know, and they even they have this historic footage up too, and it was taken down. It says. Hi, Status Quo. We wanted to let you know our team reviewed your content and we think it violates our spam, deceptive practice, and scams policy. We know you may not have realized this was a violation of policies, so we're not applying a strike to your channel. However, we have removed the following content from YouTube. Video, breaking, Trump supporters breach barriers and storm Capitol. And it's literally just on the ground footage of someone that they know, I think. There's no commentary. It's just the being there, recording what's happening.
Yeah, I remember watching it the day the Capitol insurrection was going on, and I was curious to get like some live footage because all the main news channels were just like pointing cameras at it.
Yes.
Like no one was on the ground. I'm like, wait, I know someone who goes on the ground. Status Coup. And they had a guy who was out there. Yeah, and he was right on the front line. He was pointing a camera between the police and the people there.
And that's how everyone experienced it. Like, no one really saw this shit from mainstream news. People saw this shit from Twitter, from people's phones, from small YouTube streamers, from, maybe even, from Twitch streamers from the left. And we even saw, of course, people streaming it maybe with the wrong intent too, like people that are pieces of shit and got caught or maybe streamed. But that doesn't mean that's a justification for like removing it. And we can see where, not to like, people always say like, oh, don't overuse the slippery slope fallacy, but this really is a slippery slope. Like, a left channel can't cover the breaking in of a historic event, the breaking of the Capitol. They can't cover that because YouTube says it's not allowed. So it's just an outright attack on independent media.
Absolutely.
I remember after this footage came out, it was used by almost every major news network.
Yep.
Because it was a direct source.
Right, but they're allowed to cover it. They're unbiased, and they're gonna seed through it for you. Status Quo's not allowed to. Ian Brown with his cell phone's not allowed to record a video. Like, and, it's just I think we even have a video with live footage of breaking into the Capitol.
Yes.
So it's like they could take us down. Like, it's fucking crazy. That was my censorship bit. We've had a couple different times covering this, but it seems like every time we cover it, it gets fucking worse. Like,
no, absolutely.
Like, we know they've censored Palestinian rights accounts. We know they've censored Black Lives Matter accounts on Twitter and Facebook. Other left accounts, working class accounts. We know they've like the higher echelons. Glenn Greenwald was pushed out of the Intercept. Forgot the other lady's name was pushed out of the Intercept, one of the founders. And now you have this. Like, this one's just so blatant. So it's just all piling up.
Yeah, it's insane.
I think these next two, even though the second one's not that funny, these next two are humorous.
Oh yeah, I love this story. So we have this Reuters piece here. And it's about the Space Force. It's really meme. The Space Force is obviously a fucking waste of money and bullshit. Like, why? What the like, what the fuck? But and this is more about Biden being a fucking piece of shit. So Biden decides to stick with the Space Force as a branch of the U.S. military. He's deemed it important enough to stay. The Space Force, the like, I don't know what the fuck they do. President Joe Biden is looking at all the policies put in place by Republican predecessor Donald Trump. They view towards possibly rolling them back, but not to the U.S. Space Force. Quote here: "They absolutely have the full support of the Biden administration." White House spokesperson Jen Psaki told reporters on Wednesday about the Space Force. A day after her dismissal of the question about the service, suggested Biden was less than enthusiastic about it. The Space Force was created as a separate branch of the U.S. military by Trump, who spoke enthusiastically about the need for a force to protect American interests in orbit and celebrated its new flag in the Oval Office ceremony. Since it was carved out of the Air Force, there was speculation about Biden might seek to send the Space Force back to where it was before and deny Trump a signature achievement, which is not, even though I'll read the rest of it and then talk about it, I guess. but Biden has decided to keep it, and what has been called the world's only independent space force is officially established in December 2019. We are not revisiting the decision to establish the space force, Psaki said, but the words that were said there, even if he got rid of the Space Force as a title, the money would still be going there, and it would just be part of the Air Force, and it wouldn't really dissolve.
The Air Force would just be elevated.
Exactly, it would be Air and Space Force.
It's just like all these other half measures, like the prisons, like the Yemen, like all that shit. It's the same thing here. It's like, oh, we're not gonna we'll get rid of Space Force. We don't need that goofy name, but we'll just send that money and use it uselessly elsewhere.
Exactly. Or just literally keep it, but don't call it the Space Force. Call it the Air Force. It's like you're not solving the issue. Yeah. You're not solving the issue. Right. And that's only if they did what Biden said. They're not even doing that. It's still the Space Force.
And they just say broadly it's to protect American interests. Like they can't even define the specific reasons why a Space Force is somehow necessary, or what direct threat we're countering with it.
If a meteor comes,
and
a meteor's coming towards Earth, who's gonna torture brown people in the Middle East? The Space Force needs to do it. I think that's the real reason they have the Space Force, and it's super important. You have to torture brown people in the Middle East if you're the United States.
True.
It's Mando.
If you're Michael Stevens in Tallahassee, Florida, we need giant 18 feet long metal rods in space to drop on China, so that your interests can be secured.
If you're a first generation Cuban immigrant, you definitely
the strongest of Trump supporters.
Cubans for Trump.
The Andrew Schultz joke, where he's like, Cubans that crossed over, like,
no more after me.
Yeah,
I'm the last one.
God bless.
I guess if you want to see Star Wars happen sooner, though, I mean, you'll be in favor of this.
True. I don't want to see it happen to me, though.
No, don't worry.
In Star Wars.
You want to get shot by a laser blaster?
Exactly.
Yeah,
as soon as we get laser guns in the Space Force, I'm signing up. Fuck the podcast. I'm getting my laser gun, bro.
The opening mission of Call of Duty Ghosts, where there's just rods dropping to the planet. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what's gonna happen.
Dad, what's going on?
And it's in your interest. It's in American interest.
Absolutely.
Don't forget about it.
A terrorist attack that causes probably millions of Americans to die. Absolutely necessary.
It's in your interest, but $2,000 isn't. That's not in your interest.
No, yeah, $2,000 checks not in your interest.
Our government's just digging through old fictional war material, and it's like, how could we use this?
They all started reading 2001: A Space Odyssey. They're like,
oh God, how can we spend money on this? Yeah. Jeez.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it's super fucking meme. Joe Biden's obviously a joke. We talk about it all the time. Fuck Joe Biden. Shout out to whoever fucking tagged Joe Biden as a fascist at the collection. That was Pog.
That is pretty funny.
That was.
Where was it? Where was it at the?
It was right across from Whole Foods.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it was
close.
It was very well placed. Yeah. Also, shout out whoever fucking tagged the "Long Live Mao Zedong." That was also pretty fucking sick.
We're gonna assume it's the same person, and both of them are me. I won't take credit for that.
Yeah,
I'm
don't take
that
credit for that fucking piece of shit.
I'm not that cool. I wish.
But you want to go ahead and move on to this next piece?
Yeah. So, and this is just Biden being a piece of shit and being in his administration excusing for CIA and military crimes. But this story is so tragic. Yeah, let's go ahead and read it. Harry Dunn crash. Biden team says Anne Sacoolas, fuck her, so I don't care how I say her name. Extradition refusal final. The new Biden administration, that's Harry Dunn, so you can see there. Says the new Biden administration has said the U.S. government's decision to refuse an extradition request for Harry Dunn's alleged killer was, quote, final. Mr. Dunn, 19, died when his motorbike was in a crash with a car near RAF Croughton, Northamptonshire, in 2019. The suspect, Anne Sacoolas, later left for the United States on diplomatic immunity grounds. Mr. Dunn's mother, Charlotte Charles, said the statement from the U.S. State Department came as, quote, no surprise. She said previously she had, quote, renewed hope for extradition following the election of Joe Biden as U.S. president. Ms. Charles said, quote, I maintain my direct appeal to President Biden and his new Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, to do the right thing. It is the only way forward, unquote. She adds she, quote, remains absolutely confident that we will get justice for Harry, unquote. The Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, raised the case with the new U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, in their telephone conversation on Wednesday. A spokesman for the Foreign Office said it believed the U.S.'s refusal to extradite Ms. Sacoolas amounts to a denial of justice. But State Department spokesman Ned Price said the United States government has declined the United Kingdom's request for extradition of a U.S. citizen involved in a tragic vehicle accident that occurred in the United Kingdom. Our decision in that regard was final. At the time the accident occurred, and for the duration of her stay in the UK, the U.S. citizen driver in the case, that is Sacoolas, had immunity from criminal jurisdiction. Ms. Sacoolas, the wife of a U.S. intelligence official based at RAF Croughton, was charged with causing death by dangerous driving. And I read more into the story, and what actually happened is I don't know if she was drunk or what exactly happened, but she was driving the wrong direction late at night on the road in like this area, and killed this kid driving home from work, I presume. And he head-on collided with her and was killed on his motorcycle. Well, I'm not fucking English. Why the fuck am I saying motorbike? But he was killed, and either both her or her husband and her, are fucking CIA assets. So they were allowed to, since they were on assignment or whatever, they were allowed to flee the UK, come to the United States, and avoid justice. And it looks like that's extending to the Biden administration. And just a couple like notes on some of the goons here. That State Department spokesperson Ned Price, I think he was involved in correct me if I'm wrong, maybe though, he was involved in that Nestle case with the slavery.
Oh shit.
And then with Blinken, we've covered Blinken. He's now the head of the State Department, and we've covered that he's both called for further sanctions on Iran. Hasn't called for the end to the war in Yemen. He's taken corporate money. He has basically, every foreign policy take he has is garbage. So they just let this lady get away with fucking murder of this kid, and because her husband is a CIA asset, they're allowed to just come home, and this kid's in a body bag. And it's so tragic for that mother. I'm sure they are very determined to. I mean, when they say that decision is final, I believe it. I don't think Miss Sacoolas or her husband are gonna face any charges.
Absolutely not.
I didn't mean for that to be a dark undertone for this whole thing. Like every single one we have is like, man, it really doesn't seem like Biden's gonna do anything about this.
Well, clearly a decision was made that if we hand these people over, it would be a greater loss to our country than if we just allowed them to stay here.
To our interest, Carlos. You're not thinking about our interest.
Yes.
Our country is our interest.
It might be as simple as, even if these people aren't important assets, it might be as simple as we don't want to be embarrassed that some CIA guy's wife ran over some kid, like drunk driving in the UK or something. So it just won't happen. That could be the mindset, because it's that corrupt and just, yeah.
Meanwhile, we know who the United States is requesting be sent here. Julian Assange, who's not even a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll have to recover that, because now he's in limbo, and it's like I doubt we'll see a big news piece or story come out about that, even in like even the stuff we cover. because he's just going to be sitting there in anguish waiting for his extradition appeal.
Yeah, and speaking of updates, I believe tomorrow, February 8th, is when the protesters from India are going to be meeting up with the Modi government. I believe a couple shows ago we talked about I believe it's February 8th. Either way, by next show, we should have an update for you on what's going on in India with the 3 laws that were passed, I believe, in September by the Modi government, pretty much continuing to open up their farming market or their farming sector to like the free market and the quote free market.
Capital interest.
Exactly, capital interest, and continuing to sell out the workers and the farmers. So yeah, we should have an update for you then.
Yeah. I guess my prediction on that one is kind of what's happened these last couple of times. The Modi government's gonna try to push the discussion further back, try to give them some half measure. It's very much like the Biden administration. Give them
Yeah,
some
but
half
the
measures.
protesters have been militant in that they're not going to
Yes.
take anything but the
Absolutely.
absolutely their goal.
That's
And
why
we-
they've pushed it to protesting. Like I mean, this even when we started covering it, like they were like nearly a year into their protest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with all those the surge in popularity, it's only gotten bigger, and there's more international solidarity. There's more news coverage on it. Everything about this protest got so much more real because of the the breaks in those stories.
Yes.
Earlier this year and into the last.
That's going to be the key too, is that international component of
Absolutely.
fighting our own struggles and connecting it to theirs, because the Modi government will keep pushing on them. It's good. Yeah, their organizing is fucking amazing. And it's the same with Ecuador too. We needed to unite all of our struggles and also empower them locally too, as we try to do in our show.
And something that we can't forget is how close a relationship Modi and Obama had. How much his bond with the U.S. strengthened under Trump, and what it's going to continue to look like under a Joseph Biden. It's India has been really pushing to get that U.S. backing in the global scene. Because
Yes.
they had to have not only the number one imperialist power, but the country with the largest military as well as a huge economic power.
Someone opposed to China for them.
Exactly, it opposed to China. It's integral for them to continue to move in the fascist direction that they're moving in.
Yes. Yeah, I think we covered this very early. Like their gross annexation of Kashmir and those areas, just trying to take those over. The massacres in Gujarat and other areas too.
Absolutely.
I think in that vein and connecting all those struggles, these last 2 pieces, the one you have is the more incredible one, the Haitian general strike.
Yes.
But this one, I just want to kind of add to it to show all these things are happening and we need to connect them all together. And it's from Al Jazeera. It says, protests erupt in Chile after police fatally shoot street juggler. Hundreds protest in southern Chile, and the government holds an emergency meeting after performer fatally shot by police. The protests have broken out, and municipal buildings were set on fire in southern Chile after police shot dead a street performer, prompting an emergency government meeting. The shooting took place on Friday in Panguipulli, a popular lakeside resort around 800 kilometers south of the capital, Santiago, prompting hundreds to take to the streets in protest. Some protesters erected burning barricades and threw rocks at police, while public buildings, including the municipal headquarters, were set on fire. Chilean police have detained the officer involved in the shooting while their investigation proceeds, according to officials. So it's like similar to shit we see here with the combating of militarized police in our communities in the U.S., but we can connect it to the elections in Ecuador. We can connect it to in Argentina. They just recently passed new abortion laws, which are good. So that's like a positive. In Chile, we know the history of neoliberalism there, and They've also fought back to change their constitution recently. And yeah, we see all these new changes, and obviously it's so sad to see, just the police kill random people, not just random people, but poor people and people of color especially. But it's awesome to see people come out and support to combat the police too, and it all relates. And Ian, I think your story is so much more interesting, and because it all ties into that also.
Yeah, and I'll be able to bring that up in just a second. Let me just pull up something really
Yeah.
quickly, and then we can go ahead and get into this. Give me.
And it's so interesting, the Haiti one, because Haiti is like, they've been so beat down as a country historically, but they've also had so many triumphs as a country historically, being, pretty much the only successful slave revolt, among other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And right before I get into the Haiti thing, I want to bring up something you just talked about in the last piece, and the killing of poor and especially people of color, and how this was all sparked from an innocent person being killed at the hands of the state, and how we can tie that back into what's been happening with the Black Lives Matter protests here in the United States of America and how important they are, and how we should continue to fight each and every single day for human rights across the entire world, but obviously here at home as well, which is encompassed worldwide. But that's just something I wanted to bring up really quick. And let's go ahead and get into this article here. It is from Left Voice. The title reads, Haiti begins general strike. And I want to point out that this was put out on the 1st when things really started to pop off in the news at first. So next show, we'll have another update for you, most likely, as obviously things have developed since the 1st of February. So yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys updated with this because this is very important. Reading off from the intro. In the midst of the devastating economic crisis and rising crime wave, unions across Haiti have called a general strike against both the spate of kidnappings and corrupt regime of Jovenel Moïse. Industries across Haiti are shut down today as workers in multiple sectors participate in a 48-hour general strike. The strike was called by labor unions following years of struggle in Haiti against brutal austerity and government corruption. Part of the reason behind the general strike is that the current president of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse, is refusing to step down on February 7th, when many believe that his term is up and is up under the Constitution. The president claims that his term isn't up until February 7th, 2022, as he was elected a 5-year term in 2017. Many fear that the president is taking the preparatory steps to rule as a dictator of Haiti. He has failed to call parliamentary elections within the required period, and since January 2020, he has been ruling by decree without a sitting parliament. The president has also handpicked a committee to rewrite Haiti's constitution, sparking fears for many who remember the decade of dictatorship under the Duvalier family, or Duvalier. I'm assuming it's some kind of French pronunciation. Which only ended in 1986. Even more concerningly for the working class of Haiti, the president, like the leaders before him, is backed by the United States, which is very important to keep in mind. This means that, if necessary, the U.S. will use all of their imperialist power to keep the president in power as long as he represents their imperial interests, which is absolutely true. Any cursory reading of history shows that the imperial interests of the United States empire mean devastation for the working people of Haiti and other imperialized countries. Another leading reason behind the strike is the soaring crime rate in Haiti, particularly the uptick in kidnappings. The shocking rate of kidnappings, some estimate that 4 people are kidnapped per day, previously led to strikes among healthcare workers in November of 2020. The kidnappings are being done for ransom and have begun to target working class people as well as the rich. We should not, however, fall into the capitalist logic when discussing the surge of kidnappings. The capitalists, including the president, want to play off crime as a moral failing of an individual. While we certainly should not support kidnappings, we must be clear that these kidnappings, like the vast majority of other crimes, are a symptom of poor material conditions for the working class and the oppressed. Given the growing capitalist crisis, it is no wonder that crime is going up. The economic despair that the United States and its imperialist allies have unleashed on Haiti have only deepened as the current crisis sweeps the globe. 60% of Haitians live in poverty, and 25% are in extreme poverty. This poverty is not naturally occurring. Rather, it is the result of decades of imperialist domination from the United States and other powers. It is little wonder that so many feel that they have no other options to turn to crime, which is absolutely so true and something that we've talked about so much. How crime is not just this, thing that people don't just wake up and say, "I'm going to go rob somebody." They realize that the material conditions, the things that they're around them every single day, the things that the society that they exist under has, has done absolutely nothing for them, has failed them at every step of the way. There's no sort of systemic, or there's no systematic way to fix his material conditions because the government has failed him, both as a result of trash can neoliberalism and conservatism as well, but they go hand in hand, obviously. And it is because of these people's terrible material conditions that they realize that crime is the only way they're going to be able to feed their children, or pay their rent, or buy medication for their parents. Crime is the only way to get to that. And if you've been to jail a couple of times, you can't get a job at a lot of places. If you have a felony, you can't get a job a lot of places. So one mistake when you're young, say you come out of the prison system actually rehabilitated, you can't get a job at most places, especially places where they have you working at it, like fields where you're working in a prison. Doing prison labor, you get trained in a certain skill, and in most cases, you can't go into that certain skill and get a job. And that's absolutely a result of how trash the system is. It all comes back to the system, and when you look at what that system is, it is capitalism. It is absolutely perpetuated by the profit motive, and as well as the philosophy of the individual. It's disgusting.
It's the reason why a sizable part of the population is considered unemployed.
Yeah, and I think that the way this article ties that in and brings it home to the United States is huge, as well as really harps on how disgusting the imperial power that the United States actually is. And I'll go ahead and continue on here. Indeed, worker-on-worker crime is one way that capitalism works to keep workers divided. They leave us fighting over scraps while they gorge themselves on feasts. The solution isn't, as the president suggested, for workers to help the police hunt for potential criminals, but rather to organize together strong, militant, and revolutionary worker organizations that can take on the state and the whole barbaric capitalist system. It is also vital for socialist and imperialist countries like the United States to strongly fight against both capitalism and its imperial expressions abroad. Historically, imperialist countries use their ill-gotten gains to give concessions to workers at home, which can lead to these workers turning a blind eye to the imperialism of the state. This is a devil's bargain. Trading the conditions of workers abroad for the conditions of workers at home, and it must be resisted strongly and constantly. The workers of Haiti are once again mobilizing to resist their corrupt government that is sinking them into deeper economic crises. Solidarity with the striking workers of Haiti and all of those who are fighting for better conditions worldwide. None of us are free until all of us are free. And beautiful ending, beautiful piece altogether. And another thing I want to just talk about is, again, that that second to last part. As cool and fancy and awesome to strive towards, as direct comparison to what we have currently, talking about social democracies like the Nordic model. Sure, that is cool, for the workers there in the Nordic region, but that is all built off the backs of their imperialist conquests and their extraction of resources and wealth from the third world or the overexploited countries. And you can't have one without the other. So you have to move towards ending all types of neocolonialization and truly freeing all workers, not just some workers.
Yes, true international egalitarian socialism.
Absolutely.
We want everybody's life to be better
We
because
want
that's in the benefit of all of us.
we want all workers to have a say. We truly want the people to control the democracy. And we want
Yeah,
to extend that democracy to your workplace where you spend most of your life as an adult.
that's why we
And
have these voices like Richard Wolff. That's his point. He always comes to, or Cornel West. He's like, hey, I'm not a, I'm not like crazy. I'm just think of me as like a radical, um, a practicer of radical democracy. I just want as much democracy as possible. Isn't that what we're taught as Americans? Is democracy is the best? Well, I
abs-
want the most of it. So
absolutely. I want
I,
more and more people to have democracy.
I want everybody to have it. Exactly.
Absolutely.
That piece was beautiful,
No,
though.
yeah, it was a great piece, and I'm definitely gonna have to keep on the lookout for more place or more articles from this place, the Left Voice.
Yeah, and I think you're right, though. Like, and I can speak to the U.S. exploitation of Haiti. Obviously, they had the slave revolt, but post that, in the modern era, the two presidents that I know did mega damage to Haiti were your faves, Bill Clinton and
Mm-mm-mm.
Barack Obama. Bill Clinton, basically supported a neoliberal candidate there and neoliberalized the country. It was part of his proto NAFTA plan, which was what destroyed, was the last thing that destroyed the working class in the United States. But with Obama, I mean, we were alive for this. You guys remember the earthquake in 2010
Yep.
in Haiti? I mean, it was a huge humanitarian disaster. I think if you look it up now, because of how destroyed the country and hollowed out the country is, hundreds of thousands of people have died from that, and they still have not recovered financially, infrastructure. In a lot of ways, they have not recovered from that earthquake. But the reason why I blame Obama for that is not that he can prevent a massive earthquake from happening in Haiti, but not only the conditions that led them to not being able to handle it, but post, basically USAID and Red Cross, they got billions of dollars that they basically did not spend at all to help the rehab and help rebuild Haiti. Instead, they used that money to both line, random people's pockets in the private sector and further just build up private interests in Haiti rather than help the people. So we see that all the time too. Like we've covered that too. National relief fund shit is not spent on people; it's spent on just further destroying the area, basically.
Absolutely.
So we give the money to companies who go in and build their chain stores in third world countries.
Yeah.
The Bill and Melinda Foundation.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Amazon and Whole Foods have this, whole, I forget what it's called. It's like this program that you can sign up for where you basically go to these countries and just set up little Amazon shops where you just exploit workers. And I've honestly thought about signing up for it before, and I don't know, trying
just
to
going through the run through.
and trying to talk to the workers, trying to figure
That'd
out
be interesting.
trying to figure out what really goes on, But also at the same time, it's kind of weird.
Actually, mega side note, we should shout them out right now because we didn't. But there's big protests from the ironworker union in Oxnard, I think, or maybe Ventura County. And I don't know if that was organized in part by the Ox Rev Study Group, someone that we'd love to have on. That'd be cool if we could get that done. But also, just shout out to them doing that, and shout out to all the workers that are organizing to prevent an Amazon fulfillment center coming here and stealing union jobs.
Absolutely. And yeah, I was just about to say, and the reason that these iron workers are protesting is because Amazon decided to, and our shitty mayor decided to let Amazon come in and build a fulfillment center. And Amazon, instead of hiring local union iron workers, they're trying to outsource and get non-unionized workers from different parts of the country to come, even the state, to come and build this Amazon fulfillment center. And just instead of going and hiring, unionized iron workers here in the local area, because they'd have to pay them a higher wage, and then Amazon is losing, they're not losing money, they're just making less money.
So where's the part that we benefit from this?
No, it's all in our benefit, Carlos. Don't ask how. It just
Jobs.
is. It
takes
jobs.
the good jobs and gives you shittier jobs, but you get jobs.
Even though all the managers that they're gonna hire are gonna be from out of the city,
Right.
they're gonna bring people from out of the county, out of the state, and they rather pay them, the difference for travel than hire somebody in our local.
I'll get my headphones sooner. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna get your headphones a little bit sooner, but Oxnard is still gonna have jobs.
I mean, I didn't think I'd ever live to see an Amazon fulfillment center in Oxnard. Like, that's pretty. We've seen over time too, like, I think we've also talked about this, the SOAR or whatever thing, where all the land in our county, it has to go for a countywide vote, whether or not to change it to like the land use, right? So if they want to change the land use for fracking or to build a fulfillment center instead of all this, agricultural land that we have instead, we all have to vote on it. Well, I think in a large part that law has both been loosened, as well as just other things too. I think there's just ways they get around that, because you guys have seen it too, right? Like, just the disappearing of our agriculture, our farm area, and just the increase of both luxury housing that no one lives in, and the increase in, shopping and stuff, Whole Foods, Amazon fulfillment centers.
They're just
chain stores everywhere.
Chain stores.
It's just the gentrification, and we're seeing it happen before our eyes, and because of how hollowed out the working force is in America, we have, there's not much we can do until we get together and start organizing against these corporations and showing them, that we don't want you in our town. We want to support our small businesses, our Black and brown owned businesses.
Our iron union
we
workers.
want to support our union workers. We want to support our iron workers. We want to, further unionize our city, our state, our county, our country, the planet.
Make no mistake too, like all this, our show, like, this is just ancillary to that shit. Like, the Oxford City group and all them doing those actions, that's the real shit. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Getting these people together to fight against the Amazon fulfillment center so that these people can have good paying jobs. And I'm sure, since everyone's fucking healthcare started their job here, I'm sure they rely on their healthcare too. So yeah, beautiful.
Especially being under union.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll do like a final thoughts after this video, since this is kind of just like a epic wrecked Biden gets destroyed video. It's Ben Shapiro. No, it's just, did you guys see like the Daily Wire or whatever, Ben Shapiro's group? They like, I don't know if they made a movie or they like co-endorsed a movie, and it's a movie about a school shooting, but where during the school shooting, like, the solution is a student has a gun, like, kills the shooter or some shit.
Gotta arm the kids, baby. I fully support that. Me and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
We also want to destroy socialism.
I've actually heard it's not a bad movie though. Like, structurally, it's got practical effects. They got squibs. If you got squibs, that's a win. It could be a shit movie, but if you got squibs. Michael likes squibs. So
I like squibs.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
You
to
do
my
like
mic.
squibs are quality.
The fuck is a squib?
You don't know what a squib
It's
is?
like,
Oh, come on, get out of here.
Okay, so imagine it like, you know those like fake blood capsules that you put in your mouth and you bite on it and it makes it look like your mouth is bleeding?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like you can kind of like put those on your body and they do it in like movie effects, but like they're automated and
Like
they
electronic.
explode.
Oh, so like
Yeah.
fake gunshots.
Like practical
So when you shoot,
blood.
yeah.
effect.
So when you in a movie when you shoot someone, it has like this practical effect where like
It
blood
just
starts
blood explodes out. Yeah, yeah.
will
yeah.
rip
and
through
like
your
it rips their
shirt.
shirt open.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Look it up.
But like now all they do is like CGI shit with gunshot wounds and stuff. So
Yeah.
squibs are better because it looks real.
I see.
Yeah. A lot of older movies use that.
Yeah, it's not a thing now though because it's just cheaper to not do it. Fake guns too. People don't use real guns with blanks.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. As a white male, it's the one thing we peeve over is squibs and guns and no. So okay. Anyways, our last piece video here, and I bring it up because we've been taking down Biden, but this is Chris Hedges taking down Biden and his new spokeswoman as well, but also him and Rick Sanchez taking down the notion of just that RT is like, you know, propaganda news, like Russian intelligence news, or that just that ridiculous notion that MSNBC or any of these corporate outlets are somehow better than any of us, the people that are doing the real work.
Is a pro U.S. outlets happen to always be considered the objective ones by the government.
Of course. So let's play the video, and then we'll chat a bit, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you for everyone staying with us.
Meanwhile, there is an old topic that got told by a new face today in the U.S. government. It seems like Russia bashing has been in vogue for years now. So today, Biden administration's press secretary played along, in fact, with a reporter's question where he baited her to blast not only Russia, but all things Russia, including any reporting and any reporters who work on Russian TV. Here, I want you to take a look or a listen for yourself.
I have not spoken with the president about RT or Sputnik. I think it's pretty factual to say they are tools of propaganda who work on behalf of the Russian government. I don't know that anyone would question that, or raise your hand and happy to discuss. But I've not discussed that with him specifically. I do know that when I was at the State Department, they attended the briefing. I had a little fun with them from time to time, but they attended the briefing, they asked questions, but I think there's no question as we're trying to decipher information that's accurate and inaccurate, it's important for the American people to know that there are outlets working on behalf of foreign governments who have an agenda.
So the point is, outlets on behalf of foreign governments have an agenda. Implication is that American journalists never have agendas. Joining us now is the host of On Contact, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist for, no less, the New York Times, Chris Hedges. Chris, just tell us what your impressions are of that statement that you just heard.
Well, this is part of the other side of the fake news industry, the self-delusion, the conspiracy theories. It just comes out of the Democratic Party establishment and has been coming out of the Democratic Party establishment since 2016 when they blamed their loss, Hillary Clinton's loss, on Russia, and everything has become Russia's fault. The emails, which nobody's ever disputed on Hunter Biden's laptop as being, nobody's ever challenged the veracity of those emails as Russian propaganda. The New York Times calls the Podesta emails. John Podesta was the chairman of Hillary Clinton's election campaign. Those emails were leaked, published by WikiLeaks. Even the New York Times calls them disinformation. Again, that's not disinformation, blamed on Russia. Those emails are factual. The Director of National Intelligence report, I think it was 2017, devotes roughly 7 pages to RT and attacks RT for giving a voice to Black Lives Matter activists, anti-fracking activists, third-party activists, critics of empire. And that, I think, for me, was a kind of window into what they consider propaganda.
How's it,
Those are
Carlos?
uncomfortable questions.
Listen to all those different voices he says that RT, and it's true. I've seen many different interviews that Chris Hedges has done from on RT and other people's work too. Black Lives Matter activists, Palestinian activists, fracking activists.
Plus, there are right wingers on RT as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they have they have debates on there. They have a wide spectrum, and they even have like former intelligence people, all kinds of stuff. You don't see that both that diversity, but you also don't see critically those left voices on MSNBC or just any of these outlets criticizing RT.
It's a more honest discussion platform, if anything. It's like because they're not obviously leaving stuff out that other news outlets do, clearly.
Yes. And they just give voice to the voiceless way more often than these mainstream outlets claim to do. So in my book, RT is, they're great, and it's all about the work. You look at the work.
Plus, they've also got a lot of good like documentaries on like the exploited third world countries.
They basically seem to give anyone that's been outcasted by traditional media a show too. They've given Jesse Ventura a show, Chris Hedges a show.
Yeah, there was a really good one they did like on the ship mill industry where they like break down old ships.
Yeah, that's where you know that shit, huh?
Yeah, and they actually had footage of one of the reporters trying to be bribed by the guy who ran the shipyard to get like good coverage. Because like at first they were trying to get in and film in there to like see what the conditions were like and how the people were working there, but they don't let the media in at all. And so the only way they could get in is if they took the bribe, or they did the bribe, which they did in order to get in, and they got the footage. But they obviously thought that like if they were willing to go that far, it's like they could coordinate something with them, which I don't think they fully realized who they were.
Right.
Because it was only a small team of like a couple people just like in a hotel room somewhere.
This is CNN we're talking about, right? That's doing this breaking footage?
Oh yeah, of course. Turner News.
Yeah, Turner News.
The stuff the Russians would never want to touch.
Yeah. I just wanted to end with this video because, use our outlet, but there's other outlets too. Like, educate yourself. There's plenty of. We're getting collapsed on by the censorship, but there's plenty of third-party outlets that have, like Carl said, a way larger array of voices that are going to talk about the real issues, and we're actually interested in being integrated with things like, the protests we see in our community and actual activism, because those are the things that actually matter. So.
And something else, like, to point out, because you're talking about like the wide spectrum, it's important, like, when you watch like things like the debates, like you when you go to these third parties where they're not fueled by corporate money, these are people's real beliefs. They like they really and truly think that their way is going to be able to fix the country. It's not just corporate propaganda, as well as people private beliefs, public beliefs, the whole Hillary Clinton meme. Like, you're getting these people's like genuine views of the world, regardless of who you agree with or disagree with.
Yeah, you can at least, it's a space to discuss like actual nuance and stuff.
Yeah, and
just talking points.
Understand the other side.
Right. Yeah, maybe I'm not a libertarian, but let me understand what a libertarian is and what that mindset is and where the faults are in that thinking. Let's really flesh it out. But it's hard to do that when, it's just a dishonest discussion that's corporate to begin with.
Yeah.
Anyone have any final thoughts other than fuck Tom Brady and the Buccaneers?
Yeah, fuck the Buccaneers, fuck Tom Brady. No, I went through everything I really had to talk about, and we got through these articles in like pretty good time.
Yeah, there was a lot of dark ones, but since it was so thick, we got some good stuff too. Just it's all about that socialist organizing, baby.
Yes.
It's all about that socializing, you know.
Yes.
Was in our, whether it be in our community, whether it be the elections with the Ecuadorians that we covered at the top of the show, whether it be Myanmar, the textile workers that are organizing, just across Chile, Haiti. It's all interconnected.
Yeah, was there some like joke on Twitter? It was like, how are you gonna be a socialist and have no friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There's truth in that.
Like, how are you a socialist and scaring all the bitches? I think that's what it is.
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. I think I'm guilty of that one.
Have we even had that discussion? We've definitely had discussion about how technology like stunts our ability to socialize, but also enhances it too. But it's like, damn, with the pandemic, I mean, this is an obstacle socialism hasn't had to truly overcome yet. Like, we're in an unprecedented situation. Communications, yeah, we have internet and stuff, but now that's mostly our lives now. Like, most people identify their politics via social media. Like,
very true. And that's literally what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and that's why I think try to point out, like, this isn't the point. Like, this is just a show. We're just recording fucking video and so that maybe you get an idea, and maybe we can. The point is organizing. The point is material change.
Yeah, the point is reaching out to you guys so we can then come together and organize against the corporations and the capitalist system at large.
Yeah, the posting, everything else is posting. Like, that's all it is. It's at the end of the day, I think this is useful because it helps us to talk through what we got to do, but we know what we got to do at the end of the day.
Get the fuck outside.
You got to convince people.
That's the challenge.
Who otherwise didn't know or didn't think the same way or.
Yeah, and like absolutely, that's the challenge, is getting outside, especially like you said, in this unprecedented moment.
Because that's the problem with social media, is that like you can get too caught up in your own bubbles where it's like you're not really reaching anyone. Whereas part of what we hope with this show is that like if we can get some kind of viewership, is that like we'll reach new people who like maybe don't even know anything about this stuff. Or maybe like you heard of Bernie Sanders and like some of his policies, but you don't really know much more than that.
Right.
Maybe you disagree with maybe like a single issue. Like you disagree with like a lot of stuff we say, but you agree about healthcare. And the steps to getting healthcare is mass organizing and general strikes, and showing that healthcare is absolutely a human right, and we won't produce a single anything until we get our healthcare.
Almost everyone's drawn by an issue.
Yeah,
like,
and
that's
then
what got Michael it. Michael's healthcare issue was the first radicalizing thing I ever saw in Michael, and it was something that I saw was like, hey, that's how you really can reach people too. It has to be something substantial.
Experience.
Yeah, firsthand experience. There really is nothing like it.
Absolutely.
I guess it's about understanding the struggles that people are going through, and like how we can change them for the better.
Yeah.
How we can uplift the proletariat.
I was gonna say that even like my dad just had his recent I guess like first-hand experience with this. Like he got surgery recently, and it was an $18,000 bill. Granted, it was surgery. Surgery is expensive, but I mean, it was sort of like a thing where he wasn't expecting it to be that much. And if he had insurance, then it would have been covered, but he didn't have insurance, and he didn't know that this was going to be needed. But now he's kind of like trying to get, he's like, okay, well, maybe I should get healthcare. Like maybe, but it's not going to be free. Obviously, he's going to have to pay for it. But if we had free healthcare in the system, that wouldn't be an issue, especially the $18,000 bill.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be a discussion.
Now he's kind of for it. Like I would tell him, oh yeah, free healthcare is important, and he'd kind of just like side eye me or kind of like roll his eyes. But now when I tell him, he kind of just shuts up and goes, You're right.
Well, plus it's better like to socialize something as massive as healthcare costs, because when you have to deal with it on your own, it's like it's just not optimal, because it's like instead of paying out like everyone collectively paying out a certain amount that you can get used to and you can adjust for like what part of like the healthcare costs come out of your budget that you have to make or you have to live off of.
Right, it's not a
whereas if
consistent
someone
budget.
it was like normally
You
it's
gotta
like
each
either
person.
you don't have health insurance, so it's like when something does happen to you, it's a massive upfront cost that a lot of people can't even hope to deal with, that just completely ruins their financial situation.
Which is, I think, the plan. They just want
Yeah,
to
and
debt you.
unfortunately, a lot of industries have adjusted to this system and found ways to profit off of it. Like creating perpetual debt out of people, just turning them into serfs almost.
Yeah.
Who have to constantly pay off debt, and they use it as a form of profit.
And
whereas, if we socialize the cost to begin with, the people wouldn't be ending up in these debt-ridden situations.
And to stay under the umbrella of socialism, but and to continue about what somebody in chat is saying, the Grendel skull, who was doing all that like Iraq war memes, but actually ended up staying and actually found agreement on a couple of things. Was monopolization, a symptom of capitalism, and specifically what you're talking about with AB and the beer market. Yeah, like I looked it up. They own like all the big brands pretty much. That's absolutely an issue. Not only because monopolization leads to like less competition or whatever, but they get this big by doing what? Exploiting their workers, paying them less, giving them less benefits to make more money, and putting out worse products to make more money. Like
and you use advertising, to keep people buying a shittier product.
Yeah, and our whole point is destroying that power structure, that hierarchical power structure of employee, employer, and expanding the say to the workers, and making sure that the workers need to be taken care of first, like absolutely first, and just absolutely, just the workers are first. The monopolization only ends up helping a select few, a small few, and like what you're saying, just under 70% of the market. That's insane. And like another example is Amazon in 2019. I believe the percentage of all internet commerce they made up 54%. So over a majority of all things bought and sold on the internet, Amazon was responsible for, which is insanity, because that means if Amazon fails, the United States fails. They're too big to lose. Corporations become that powerful.
Especially if we all start working for them too.
Yeah.
I mean, Walmart's definitely that way.
Yes, Walmart's another example.
Seems like one in every so Americans works at a Walmart or a McDonald's.
Well, we had capitalism, and this is what we end up with.
Yep.
The 70% on the Anheuser-Busch thing, that math checks out too, because 70% of beer is shit. That makes sense.
AB owns Budweiser, Bud Light, Michelob.
That's what I'm saying. All those beers are shit.
So piss.
They own Estrella, Jalisco, Busch, Natty Light.
That's why I said Stella's the only one that's okay.
Presidente, they own Hoegaarden, and they own Shock Top, and then like a couple other small ones.
Well, Hoegaarden's good. Shock Top's.
Okay. Oh my God! Wait, it goes on and on. Red Hook. Yeah, there's a huge fucking list here. Wicked Weed, Kona, really?
All these things that you think are small brands are just they're all
like Elasian Brewing, Goose Island. Wow, that's crazy.
No problem, Grendel. It was sweet. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk much today, guys. Like I've been having audio issues, and like in the beginning of the stream, everyone's audio was like crackly. I could barely hear. So I've just been spending most of the majority of the stream trying to fix my audio so that later I can record the streams.
Yeah.
So,
and
better?
Yeah, I'm getting around. I'm trying new programs and everything. I can't. The crackling went away, so that's good.
That's good.
That's good.
And yeah, Grendel, thanks for stopping by. And even though we disagreed on some stuff, and we did agree on some stuff, and I hope you come back and are interested more in what we were talking about, or what we continue to talk about.
Grendel Boy says, "Power to the people."
Power to the people. We got to break down that white supremacist power structure.
True.
Fuck the pigs. But yeah, have a good night, brother. Hope you come back.
Should we say bless to all of our viewers?
Yeah, yes. On that note, not only good night to Grendel, good night to everybody. Sexy Swan, thank you for the follow if you're still here.
Yeah, thank you.
Jose, thank you for the resub. Thank him, Ian, me for the resub. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Hector, for the tier 1 sub, brand new sub. Thank you, Jacan, for the bits. We really appreciate that. That got us a hype train, which is cool. I think that was our first one.
We had a hype train?
Yeah, we had a hype train.
Oh, sweet.
Which is pretty cool.
Death to
ISPs, yes, Jose, absolutely.
Dude,
during the Vanguard Revolution, those are the first people we were coming for.
It's true. For the pod, like on the Insta, I was gonna post that old picture I have on my Facebook of me with the shirt that says net neutrality or something.
Oh, the fucking your net neutrality shirt.
And I just look like disgusting, like 14-year-old or something.
Yeah, dude.
In case y'all bitches don't think I got that clout, we've been doing this shit.
He's been a white ally for years now. His ally fatigue is almost gone.
We called the Ferguson Police Department like via Skype or something.
Yep, way back when that happened.
Good days.
Yeah, and they were not having it.
No, they
didn't want to talk to anybody.
No. All right.
But yeah, on that note, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please drop a follow. Now would be the time to do so we can say thank you. If you're watching without an account, please create one and drop a follow. It's greatly appreciated. Not only does it mean you're more likely to come back and hang out with us, it also puffs up our numbers and shows us that the community is actually growing, which we really appreciate. We also appreciate the lurkers, the people who just come here and watch. We appreciate all the people who watch after, the people who watch on our YouTube. Everybody who follows us on Twitter and Instagram as well. We're on Spotify now, and
hopefully audio listeners.
Yes, we're gonna support the audio listeners. We just need to get those videos edited. Yell at Michael on Twitter about it, and he'll get to it.
Please do.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I've been yelling at him almost every day.
Yes, we're getting them on SoundCloud. We're on Spotify. We're on Anchor. In the link we have there, like it says like contact bin Spoop Podcast or whatever. That has all the links to our everything. You can find everything. Michael's gonna go ahead and put it in chat.
Wait, is the Anchor link in there?
It should. I think you put it in.
For some reason, I don't think I put it there.
That's our Spotify and shit.
Yeah. But it's Anchor.fm.
Yeah,
and then it's just anchor.fm/Spoop Podcast.
If it doesn't work, open it in a browser and everything should work.
Well, it's pretty much just like a mirror of what Spotify is, or what's on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just you have to upload all this stuff to Anchor, and then it like syncs to Spotify because Spotify doesn't have any like upload feature for podcasts.
I see.
I don't know why they made it like a separate service for it, but oh well.
Money or something. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much. We're gonna get out of your hair. We really appreciate everything. We love all you guys. We're gonna be back here on Wednesday to talk more fucking politics with you guys, talk more news. We're gonna have hopefully some updates on India as well as Haiti. We really appreciate all of you. As I say in every single show at the very end, it's very important for international worker solidarity. So workers of the world everywhere, unite. It's us against the capitalists, and we absolutely have to organize every single day and take them down, break down that power structure. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We're gonna go ahead and get out of your hair.
Fuck yeah.
Spoop Podcast number 35.
35.
We're coming up on.
What's our name?
Tom Brady to Fascism Pipeline Explained. That's gonna be on the OnlyFans when we get that up. Yeah.
What do you mean? We explained in like the first 15 minutes exactly how it happened. You got to go back and watch.
But yeah, thank you guys so much, and yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday. Later, y'all.